Hey, welcome back to Form Check Friday. Let's do it. Hey guys, I'm Paul. Welcome back to Form Check Friday. Thanks for joining me. Just a quick announcement, some housekeeping. Yesterday, I finished the instructional videos that go along with my new ebook, Radically Simple Muscle. If you didn't pick up a copy of that during the pre-release, which was a couple weeks ago, it will be out, I hope, by the end of this next coming week. So I have one more video to shoot, sort of an explainer video, a program breakdown that's going to go with the ebook. And then once I get that shot and edited, it will be out on my website. I'll be sure to let you know about it. Radically Simple Strength was really a strength-focused program with some bodybuilding stuff sprinkled in for aesthetics. Radically Simple Muscle is, I'm sort of flipping the focus to emphasize hypertrophy. And the initial goal was to maintain your strength, but what happened after I ran the program for a while was my strength shot up. So it's a little bit slower progression on the strength stuff, and a lot more variety in the assistance lifts, a lot more bodybuilding. So the assistance videos are done. Like I said, there's a lot more variety. So I had to shoot, I think I shot 21 videos yesterday, got them all edited. They're up on my website now. I can show you what that looks like. So if you go to hornstrength.com/videos, I've got the cooking demos from Radically Simple Strength. And then down here, we've got the exercise library. These are sort of the basic tutorials on how to do the main lifts. And now I've got a ton of assistance exercises for all broken up by body part. So chest, back, legs. This is something I will probably reference many times now that I've shot the videos. I'm always talking, as you guys know, on this channel about incorporating pause squats, and more recently bounced pause squats, which are pause squats with sort of a rebound. I can actually show you what that looks like now that I have a demo video. So you guys will see, put some music to all of them. And so you're gonna go down and hold it and then bounce a couple times and then pop up. So we'll watch me do one more. Bounce, bounce, right? Okay, so those are on my website. So when I reference them now, you can and I'll mention them again in case you guys skip this intro, but those two are gonna be really useful. That the pause bounce is really for feeling the stretch reflex in the bottom. Delt work, bicep work, triceps, traps, abs, like all of it. It's all here, all edited with music and cool new thumbnails. So spent a lot of time doing this, and I hope you guys find it useful. That's hornstrength.com/videos. And once the ebook comes out, you'll see how they all tie together. And yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm glad to have all that stuff done. It was super hot in the garage yesterday. So, but I managed to get it done. So let's get into the form checks. Thank you guys for submitting. As always, I have not seen any of these or read any of the comments or the posts yet, so we're all gonna go through this together, and let's dive right in and see who we're working with today. All right. Okay, I'm working on the squat feedback you provided, and we'll post another squat video in the coming weeks. In the meantime, here's a deadlift for you to critique. Thanks again for your help. This has been awesome for me to improve my form. Happy to do it. Glad you found us. All right, let's take a look. I'm gonna close that, and I'll leave that out because I'm gonna probably reference it. Okay, let's kill the volume here and take a look at the deadlift. Yeah, that's a pretty good looking deadlift. So let me see. Hips are nice and high. Head's in the right position. You're taking time to reset. This may be a very boring form check. You are also built for deadlifting. Your body dimensions are really good for deadlifting. All right, let's take another look and see if I catch anything. Setting up, great. Not moving the bar. Take a big breath, hold it, and drive it off the ground. I mean, this is a really good looking deadlift, man. It's going to be a quick form check. I mean, if I'm nitpicking, you could kind of lean back just a little bit more at the top, but I mean, you're standing straight up, so I'm not, you can even forget that I said that. So I would recommend, like you'll notice on this rep you just did, if you watch the time between taking your breath and squeezing your chest up and then going, right? So you breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. Breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. You're kind of missing the pause a little bit, and that pause is really to give you a chance to make sure that you are as arched up as you possibly can be, right? What we're looking for is here, right? Your lumbar spine. We're trying to get that arch. So your chest is going to curve up this way, right? And your butt is going to curve up this way, okay? And what that does is it makes your back into like a U shape, right? We get that extension that we want, okay? So I'm looking really for wrinkles in your t-shirt right here. I want to see those wrinkles. And I feel like so breathe, squeeze, right? The squeeze is when you do that and set your back in extension. And then there's a little pause where you just kind of make sure that you're as squeezed up as you can be, and then you push. And if you'll see here, you kind of set your back and then go real quick. So it's like squeeze and go, right? And you can see that, let me see if I can catch it on the replay here. So yeah, so you can see like your back here is kind of a little loose, right? I think you can get this more concave, right? We can get more of a U shape here in the low back. And that's just a matter of you making an extra effort during that pause to just squeeze up as hard as you can. You're not bad. Like, the main thing that we are concerned about is that it's rounding more as it comes up off the ground. It looks to me like you're holding it pretty steady. So your back, you're locking it, which is good. So it's not rounding. But let's watch one more, but I think you pretty much got this. Yeah. So all I would, if I'm just really nitpicking with you, you're doing a pretty good job of arching, squeezing the chest up that way and getting the arch here. It's kind of right here that I'd like to see more this same rotation up here. I kind of want to see if you imagine, like if you reach back and feel under your butt, you'll feel your, what do they call it? The ischial tuberosity. I think I got that right. Someone will correct me. But there's a little, it's the bottom of your pelvis. There's a little bone where the hamstring originates. So the hamstring starts here and it inserts here. And it's pointing like down like this right now. So if you can kind of think about pointing that bone up this way, just the same way that you're doing with your chest, right? So if you think about kind of rotating your pelvis, I mean, if you want to get real graphic, I've heard some coaches say like point your butthole up at the ceiling, right? What they're trying to do is get this rotation here, right? Because that will finish this arch that we want, okay? So basically, if you can arch a little harder, that would be my only critique. The rest of this looks fantastic. You're doing a great job. And let's post the video of your squat when you get that fixed and we'll dial it in. But these look solid, man. Good work. All right, thanks for submitting. Let's go to the next guy. My man SniperMeat is back. Okay. First off, I've been running Intermediate A from Radically Simple Strength for a few weeks now. I love the program. Good. Mostly, I love the flexibility of a two times a week program. So Intermediate A is a 2-day program. Usually people run that like Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, something like that. It makes training with a hectic schedule much easier. Definitely 2-day programs are great. You can shift, if you miss Thursday, you can go to Friday, or if you have to rush because you're traveling, you can make it Wednesday. So you can't do that with a 3-day program when you need to have a day off in between. I started out with pretty light weights, more on that below, but am sure I'll hit a wall soon. I like how a bad session won't derail anything and make me feel like an abject failure. Yeah. That's the point of the programs with the rep ranges and the back offsets. There's 4 different ways to make progress at every session. So it's very rare that you have a totally, a workout where you make no progress, even if it's an extra rep on your back offset. Okay, so you might remember that I've been dealing with the nagging shoulder issue, have been using the safety squat bar for the last year and a half, but when I began the Intermediate A program, I decided it was time to get back under the barbell. It's definitely uncomfortable, but doable. I started light so as not to hit a wall and to give my shoulders and wrists time to adjust to the motorcycle grip, that's the thumbs around grip, and having my shoulder under the bar. This was 210 by 5, felt horrible, but I figured it would help to get your eyes on it for some pointers. Many thanks. Okay, let's take a look at the SniperMeat squat and see how we're doing here. All right. And where is my man? Are we playing here? There we go. Okay. Oh, got a little clutch going there in the background. One of the best bands to listen to while you're lifting. Clutch. All right. Let's watch. So we'll just check a couple reps here. Stance looks pretty good. Bar looks like it's in the right place. Okay, a little forward. You're going down and you can see that your weight is shifting onto your toes. Let me just watch the whole set and then I'll make some comments. Yeah, little knee cave and we're kind of missing the bounce. And there's a reason for all that. So let's get into it. Let's watch again. So you can see there's like very little hip drive. If you watch your butt, that one was a little better. But you're just coming down and pausing. And there's the knees are, if you watch your knees, they kind of, they move in a little bit. And then it's just, you're lifting your chest out of the bottom. So this is gonna feel terrible, right? Because you're doing it the hard way and you're not tapping into the stretch reflex or the bounce, okay? So we'll go back and see if we can break this down from the top. The grip and the hand placement, the bar placement, like it looks perfect. So I'm sure it's uncomfortable. I know you've had some shoulder pain, but if you can figure out a way to keep it like this, but maybe you widen your grip a little bit, maybe you shrug a little more to try and lift the bar off the bone if it's rubbing on the spine of the scapula, or hopefully it just goes away. But this is upper body looks great. So the fact that you can even tolerate this, given your history, is very promising. Okay. I don't know, maybe wear 2 t-shirts. See if you can get a little padding under there or something. Just worth a shot. Okay, so let's look at the form. So no hip drive there. And the weight is going down and forward. So if you're kind of shifting, lifting the chest right away. So from here, okay, what we want is, I think your depth is pretty good. I think you could probably be, it might be the camera angle, but I think you could probably drop it down another inch or 2 and you will feel more of the stretch reflex. But from here, the big thing is this needs to go up first, okay? So all of the drive up should be here, okay? I should see your butt move first out of the bottom. And what we're gonna see is this and this move up pretty much exactly the same rate. So there's no hip drive, there's no emphasis where it's very convincing that you led out of the bottom, you initiated the ascent with your butt or your hips. Okay, and the reason that that's happening is because your weight is, as you go down, is shifting forward, right? Everything's moving this way, and I can't really draw I guess it would be like that. So you're kind of going down and then the weight is going to your toes, and that is preventing you from sitting back into the bottom. The last few inches of the squat descent are reaching back with your hips. So what you want to think about is heels at the bottom, okay? Because right now you're going to toes. So we're going to try and overcompensate or overcorrect by thinking about sitting back onto your heels. You you have a rogue rack, you've an R3, one of the things you can do is you can take a band and strap it across the pins down here. So you put it on these little, the band pegs, and that forces you to sit back and touch it, but you can't unload on it. So you might wanna, you probably have to drop these pins down to maybe this hole right here and put it on the bands on the inside, step back, and then as you reach back, you tap the band, and you can think about bouncing off the band, and that will cue you to sit back more automatically. If you don't want to do the band, you have to think about from the top, lean over, right? So first thing, lean over, knees forward and out. And you can think about as you push your knees forward and out, weight goes to the toes a little bit, right? Don't fall forward. But you can think I'm gonna lean over and I'm gonna shove my knees forward and out as hard as I can. And the pressure on my foot is gonna go to my toes a little bit. And then by the halfway point, you switch that to thinking, okay, now that my knees are set and my back angle set, the rest of it is me sitting back onto my heels into the bottom. So it goes toes, heels, drive the butt up. Toes, sit back onto the heels, drive the butt up. Ultimately, like I always say, we want midfoot the whole time, but since you're going forward, we need to overcorrect and have you think about sitting back more. And the fact that you're going forward is what's preventing you from hitting depth, because everything's kind of sliding forward and you're not actually finishing by leaving the knees where they are and allowing the final stretch of those adductors by dropping your ass down. So if you just think about sit back onto my heels or try and touch that rubber band that you strap across the bottom, you're gonna feel more of a bounce. And then from there, the main correction is obviously you have to keep the knees out as hard as you can. They're kind of caving in a little bit. So at the bottom, knees are the widest. And then as you sink into that bounce and start to pop up, you're leading with your butt. Butt comes first. I should see a change in back angle very slightly with the hips first. And then towards the top, you're gonna stand all the way up, okay? Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, one of the things that would be great for you to practice are pause squats or bounced pause squats in your case in particular, right? So if we go to hornstrength.com/videos and we look up the legs part, right here, we've got the bounce pause squat and the pause squat. So both of those would be good. I would work on both of those every workout, first 5 reps with the empty bar, maybe the first set with lightweight, like 95 pounds. You're gonna take it down. On the pause squat, you're gonna pause for 3 seconds. And in those 3 seconds, you are gonna evaluate where that weight is on your foot. So if the first rep you go down and you notice, hey, there's a little bit more pressure on my toes, shift back onto your heels, feel the balance, and then come up with your butt, right? And then the next rep, you're trying to get down to the perfect bottom position without having to make any adjustments. Okay, it's like a little game you play. Can I go right to perfect balance with some pressure back on my heels without having to shift around? Okay, and then you want to add in the bounced pause squat. So maybe the second set, once you established where the bottom is, the second set you're going to go down and you're going to do these little bouncy guys here, which you're going to go down to the bottom and pause, and then you're going to bounce off your groin muscles. 1, 2, 3, and then come back up, right? So that not only lets you feel the correct bottom position, but then it's also going to show you what it feels like to really get that stretch in the adductors and feel that rebound, okay? So that's highly recommended that you work on both of those. I do these every workout, every empty bar. Every time I squat, I start with pause squats and then bounce pause squats just to remind myself where the bottom is, what it feels like to be down there, and then how to come up out of it correctly. Overall, the rest of it looks good. We just need more hip drive, knees out harder at the bottom, weight, finish sitting back into the bottom, and then feeling that stretch, and then driving with the butt. Those are the main things to work on, okay? Thanks for the submission. Work on it, post another video. And we know your deadlift's great, so you don't have to worry about that one, but we'll keep working on this squat. All right, SniperMeat out. Let's move on to the next guy. Joe. Okay, hey Paul, thanks for reviewing my press last week. Much appreciated. If you could look at my squat again, that'd be great. I'm trying my best to set my knees early and bounce out of the hole, just like the previous guy. This is 264 pounds, For 5, I'm 5'11", 215. Trying to decide whether to push up to 225 or lose belly fat. I am not keen on sacrificing future PRs. All right. Let's see. Let's see Joe. Let's see what he looks like. Okay. So let's deal with that real quick before we move on. You wanted to know about pushing up to 225. You're 215. And you're doing 264. You know, this is always a personal choice. Whatever, you know, some guys are uncomfortable with their body fat. They want to get rid of it. Some guys don't care and they just want PRs. There's no right answer here. 10 more pounds is going to let you, you know, keep driving the weights up. So it's really up to you. Like maybe you set a goal, like, look, I want to squat 315 for 5, and then I'll reevaluate whether or not I want to cut. That like a weight goal is always a good, like a plate goal is always a good target. Or you just get sick of it and you decide you want to cut. But you know, the PRs will probably stop when you really start losing weight. In the meantime, if you're having a good run and you don't really care about body composition, I mean, you're not a fat guy. Like you look like a sturdy dude. 10 pounds isn't going to make that much of a difference, especially if you're eating well and training hard. So ultimately up to you. And at some point you should cut because we want to see all this muscle you're putting on. But again, maybe if you want to hit those plate goals first, then you can just commit to that goal, stop thinking about it, and then worry about it when you finally get there. So kind of a wishy-washy answer, but there really is no right time to cut. It's a personal thing. Okay, so let's take a look, see what's going on here. Grip looks good, bar placement looks good. Let's see what we're doing. Okay, stance is great, head position's great. A little high on that one. No, and a little bit of knee cave. If we're watching your knees, you'll see them kind of cave in right there. See them kind of move in and back. Knees are shooting back a bit. That one was pretty good. Oh, you tried to, good, you corrected your head lifting. Good. All right. So they're getting deeper as you go through the set, which is good. It's kind of taking you a few reps to find the bottom. And it looks like you're kind of hesitating, leaning over. Yeah, so that lean is a little delayed. And you just have to be a little bit more aggressive with it. You just got to dive for the floor. Like point your chest at the floor right away. And then you don't have to think about that anymore. If you just get the knees forward and out, and you lean way over right away, then you can focus on sitting back into the bottom. You're kind of leaning over a little bit too slow. And as you're coming up, you can see you're kind of, I mean, your kind of hips are coming back a little bit. Hip drive is pretty good. I think depth is just a little high. Let me see if I can pause it, find like a freeze frame here. I'm gonna have to catch it. That was a little late. So you do one more. See if I can hit it right on the money. That's pretty good. Yeah, you're a tad high. Like, I would say you're just at parallel. And what you want is to be just below parallel. So you need another kind of inch of depth. Just to be convincing. It also looks like your heels might be coming up a little bit. Let me see if I can go back and watch your heels. Yeah, they're pretty good. Okay, so overall, this is a good squat. I mean, we're gonna be talking about some minutia here. I think the main thing is you gotta get leaned over sooner. Okay, so if we say, let me see if I can pause your back angle here. So if this is the angle that we want for your bottom position, you need to set this angle by the halfway point, right? So by the time you are about here, I missed it. Let's see, by the time you're about, maybe about there, okay? The angle needs to be more of what we were gonna see. Oh, this is a crappy line. You're not off by much, but I would like to see you a little bit more, like if this is the angle that you have, maybe I want you about here. So just a little bit more leaned over sooner, right? Just think about chest to the floor, knees out as hard as you can. Like you're literally trying to stamp your sternum right down here between your feet, okay? So you're trying to touch this point to that point on the floor, just right away. And in order to do that, the knees have to go out real hard and you have to lean over a lot. And that's gonna give you a better stretch in your adductors on the way down. We're gonna get that nice and tight. Then at the bottom, keeping the knees out as hard as you can. It's you know, they're gonna move a little bit usually with heavier weight. The pop out of the bottom is pretty good. Like your hip drive looks pretty good. It's just a little bit, we need a little bit more depth. Just like a tiny bit more lower here so that we're kind of coming down like that. And yeah, but I think establishing that back angle sooner and just leaning over more and then committing to going a little bit deeper than you want to. So as you approach the bottom, you really got to think about keeping the knees out real wide and feeling that stretch in the groin. Okay. So again, this is, I'm handy again, but as I mentioned with the last guy, on my website, hornstrength.com/videos, look into doing these pause bounce squats or bounced pause squats with lightweight, go down to the bottom, feel the balance, and then you're going to bounce your butt up and down 3 or 4 times, feel the stretch, feel it back towards the heels, and then come back up. And then when you go into your sets, you're looking for that sensation. So the point of the bounce pause squat is to show you what it feels like to stretch out those adductor muscles, right? So once you know that, you can sort of internalize that sensation, then you're looking for that with every rep. And if you don't feel it, you either slid forward, you know, didn't sit back enough to get the stretch, you cut it off a little too high, you know, or yeah, like you just didn't go deep enough. So on the next rep, just you're trying to feel that, go deeper, right? So you feel that sensation that you get from practicing the pause bounce squats. Once you know it, you can tell from rep to rep if you got it or not. Okay. And that's really the point. So I would definitely incorporate those into your warm up every time. Do a set of 5, pause, do a set of 5, pause with the bounce, feel it, and then look for it on every single warm up rep, that, you know, that sensation of the pop, the stretch in the adductors. And that should help a lot. Other than that, I think you're good to go, man. Just, it's really leaning over more and finishing sitting down so you can get that bounce. But overall, very good squat. So thank you for posting. Let me see if I addressed all of your questions here. Set the knees, bounce out of the hole. Yeah. So really it was just, you got to sit back a little bit more and work with the pause bounce squats. I think it'll help. Okay. Thank you. And moving on. Paul, back again with my squats, exclamation point. Working on your advice from last week. Don't think I'm achieving all of this completely. Oh, we got a list. Okay. Point the toes out more, knees out more still, really pushing them out, but can't stop them from caving. Set the upper back when unracking. Use the stretch reflex. Don't stop. Yes, I remember you were pausing. Weight more on the balls of the feet, not the heels. Looking down the whole time. Lock knees at the top. Stand up straight. Stand up straight at the top. Don't stay leaned over. Not sure I'm doing. Okay. Getting a little outside hip pain, wondering if the knee cave is causing this. It certainly can. So let's take a look and see if there's any issue here. Okay. Let's see if you widen that stance too. You know, I think you have like a interesting camera lens. I'm not sure what you're using here, but this looks a little distorted. I don't know if you have like a fisheye lens or something like that going on, but that squat rack just looks very narrow, and I'm sure it's a standard size width. which makes me think that your stance is too narrow, but it might, now that I'm looking at the distortion, like it might be your camera. So if you have like a normal lens or like your phone, I could be totally wrong. Maybe this is just your normal camera, but it looks like it's got some fisheye setting that's making me think that you're always too narrow. So I could be wrong. You might have a perfect stance. But that squat rack just looks like it's unusually small inside. Anyway, let's keep going. Okay, wait, we were supposed to watch you unrack it. All right, fix that head, okay? Like head, you don't need to be looking forward, ever. You're looking down at the floor the whole time. So this is gonna crank on your neck and it's making it hard to get you set, so. All right. Okay, depth is a little better. But you're still, okay, let me just get through a couple of these and then I'll make some comments. You're doing good without getting rid of the pause. All right. That had a pretty good pop on it, the hips. You can do another one? Yeah, okay. So there's sort of a big thing we got to fix, but you're definitely hitting depth, no hip drive on that one. But let's watch your low back. I'm looking for your butt to come up first. Yes, then you got out of your hips real quick. See, you're getting a little hip drive and then you're immediately lifting your chest. So like you said in the notes that you wrote, you need to, once you drive the hips up, right? Once you're done with that initial hip drive, that doesn't mean it's that you're high enough to start lifting your chest up, right? So it goes, if this is your hips and this is your shoulders, right? It goes here, a little pop. I'm gonna go lower. Goes here, a little pop. And then this angle remains all the way till you're near the top and then you stand up. Okay, so it's pop, hold, and then lift the chest at the top. And what you're doing is you're getting the pop, right? And as soon as you feel that bounce, right? As soon as the hip drive, kind of that little boost you get from the hip drive stops and you start to it starts to feel heavy again, you're just thinking that that's the point where you start standing up. And that's not the case. You're missing the middle part where you just hold the back angle consistent the whole way up. Okay, so it's pop and then hips and shoulders move up at the same time. And then you get here and you lift the chest. Okay, not pop, lift the chest. Okay, so you got to ride it out a little bit higher. Depth wise, you're doing great. You're really, you're controlling it, the descent pretty well. And then you're sort of letting it go into the bottom, like, so you can actually sink down and it's like that's great. That transition from the descent to the ascent is like, it's dynamic. You're really tapping into the stretch reflex down there. You're getting a nice pop. You're just getting out of your hips too soon. Okay, and I'm not too worried about the knees. Like they're moving a little bit. Yeah, you're doing a good job with the knees, so don't worry about that. Okay, here's the big thing though that we got to fix. So we talked about getting set under the bar before you take it out, and you're not doing that. So this is good, right? This position, except for your head, which should be down, but this back angle right here, this arched up chest. That's great. The problem is as soon as you unrack it and walk it out, you're gonna let it go. And by the time you get into position for the first rep, you're gonna have a rounded back. Okay? So I'll show you. See, now you're already rounded. So all that work you did getting yourself tight and arched up for the unrack, like when you're unracking the bar, you just undid it. You just let it go. And the point is to set that chest up tight position and then just stand up and walk it back, right? If I'm here and I stand up and then I walk it back, I'm still here, right? I didn't do this, okay? And that's really Because now the problem we're trying to solve is that it's very hard to get your back set and arched up with all this weight on your back. It's much easier to do it before you take the weight out, the bar out of the rack. Okay, so we got to reestablish that. Now here's the thing. You are reestablishing that tightness, right? That arch as you're going down. So the bar is moving and you're trying to arch, right? So watch as I'll show you exactly what you're gonna do. So you're here, right? And we know you need to be here, this chest up position, okay? So what you're gonna see when I push play is from here, right? As you start to go down, you're gonna do this, right? So as you're lowering the bar, you're gonna try and arch your back up while the bar's already moving, okay? So just watch that little like flare motion. See, you're about to squat and you still haven't set your back, right? You still haven't. You should be doing that now before you move, okay? But watch, here we go. Boom. See? You're already starting the rep and trying to arch your back and trying to get tight as you're going down. See how your back you're getting in the right position, but you're doing it while the bar's moving. And that introduces all kinds of unnecessary movement that's going to make it hard for you to stay balanced, right? You want to do all of that work. Watch your head too. You're kind of flicking your chin on the way up, but you want to do all the work of setting your back and getting tight before you move the bar. Don't do it as you move the bar. Okay, so it's just like a deadlift, right? You don't try and set your back on the deadlift while you're deadlifting. You set your back while the weights are on the ground, get real tight, and then you move the bar. And that's a much more efficient transfer of force, right? Because nothing in your spine is moving. It's the same thing here. You need to take a breath. Just imagine you're doing a deadlift. Before you go down, arch, hold it tight, and then just lean over, right? Then you're already, all you got to do is this segment from your hip to your head, right? That doesn't change at all because you already arched it up real hard. All you're doing is leaning and then maintaining, right? Rather than setting on the way down. Okay. So that's your main thing to work on. What happened? Oh, there we go. So get here. I mean, look at that. You got all the wrinkles in your t-shirt. You're looking straight down. Your back looks great right here, but you need to do that before you move the bar. It takes you to get down to about here before you're actually set. Okay. So rest of it looks good. Knees are good. Bounce is great. Hip drive is great. Just stay leaned over longer on the way up. Make it feel like too long. Okay, like you're just driving up and you're about to fall forward and then you start standing up. All right, and then like this right here, if we were pretending that this is the ascent, this is where I would have you start lifting your chest right here. Okay, this high up. All right, so just to recap, set your back before you take the bar out of the rack. Try and maintain it. Don't give it up. Keep your head down. If you happen to round on any of the reps, before each rep, you're going to take a breath. You're going to squeeze your chest up real hard, right? You're going to get that arch and you're going to hold it for a second and then you're going to start the descent so that you don't have to set your back while you're descending, okay? Then all you got to do is hold that position, hit the bounce, drive up, stay leaned over as long as you can, and then you're going to stand up at the top and you'll be good to go, okay? Big improvement all around. Check your camera lens. Let me know if I'm right about that. And yeah, work on those things. And I think you'll be in good shape. You're doing a lot better. This is way better than the first time you submitted. So we're getting there. Thank you for submitting and let's move on. All right, here we go, Paul. All right, thanks for help on press last time. Here's my deadlift. Am I keeping my lumbar in extension during the set? I misloaded by 20 pounds because of the 35s. I plan on doing a light deadlift next week to give me some recovery time. Should I take some weight off of the next heavy deadlift? Let's see. I'm currently running the intermediate A template and doing a slow cut. All right, 29, 5'8", 208. Let's take a look at this and see. All right. Oh, and you got some lifting shoes. I think this is good. Oh, little get the shakes. That happens with a lot of guys. Okay. Woo. Good, man. Very good set. Okay. So, I mean, that was 20 pounds heavier than it was supposed to be. So I have to give you a little bit of leeway here. Congratulations on pulling 405 for 5. I don't know if it's the first time you've done it, but either way, it's a big milestone. So let's talk about you asked about your lumbar spine. Now, one of the things I would do, just a small correction, is I would move your gaze down to here. Okay. So you can see that you're kind of looking up this way. I would look a little bit closer to you, maybe down here. And I find that that helps cue me to set my back from my chest. Like I can keep looking at the floor and arch my back and not try and set my back from my neck, which doesn't really translate to the lower lumbar spine getting in extension. A lot of times if you're trying to crank on your neck, you just don't get that wave of extension down your back because you're really setting your back from here down, not from here down. Okay. So I would look a little bit closer to you on the ground and just focus on rotating the chest up like that and see if that gets you a little bit tighter. Now, this is I mean, your back looks pretty good here. Let's see about holding it tight. I mean, but prior to that coming off the ground, oh, I skipped it. Let me see if I can pause it there and see like your full, I mean, that looks pretty good. So your back angle looks great there. It's really a matter of, are you going to keep it or is it going to round a little bit? And not much. The reason, I mean, it's probably going to happen later in the set. Okay, so there we go. We got to talk about that. So if you watch the time that you take setting your back, pausing, and then pulling for the first rep is great. You got the cadence down. Breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. But once you set it down and you start going into the next rep, you just rush the whole thing. And because of that, your back is not as tight as it was on the first rep. And because it's not as tight, it's easier to come out. It's easier to round, okay? So like if we watch the difference between these two, just watch the time between setting and pulling from rep 1 to 2. So you're gonna set, hold, pull. Great. Okay, now watch this one. Set, pull. Okay, you're going a little quick there. Set, yeah. So you got to slow down a little bit here. And I know like you got a lot of adrenaline going. That one was a little better pause there, probably because you're tired. Set, go. Yeah. So that's really the main thing would be moving your gaze down a little bit, minor correction, and then making sure that between each rep, you squeeze your chest up as hard as you can and you pause, just like you did in the first rep, because that pause gives you time to make sure that you are as arched up as you can be, right? That you've got that you've set your back as hard as possible, particularly your low back. You need that little pause in there because if you rush it and all you're thinking about is pulling, then you kind of half-ass the lumbar extension and then it's going to come out because you didn't set it as hard as you could. So just make sure you got all the time in the world, just set your back, hold it, and then just push straight with the legs, okay? The other thing that pause lets you do, you'll notice that you're kind of nudging the bar a little bit. So when you go to set your back, you're dropping your butt a little bit. I'm fine, it happens, it's a little bit, and that'll push the bar forward off the shins sometimes. So that pause gives you a chance to roll it back in case it broke contact with your shins. Overall, considering this was 20 pounds heavier than you were supposed to do, this is a great set. And yeah, just making sure that that's the cadence right there. That cadence for rep 1 is what you want for the entire set. Just a little bit extra time to make sure that you're as arched up. Because once the bar is off the ground, right? Once that weight's in your hand, you can't set your back anymore. So you got one shot to do it between every rep. and you got to make sure that you just squeeze the hell out of it. Okay. Work on that. Now, in terms of your question, which was currently running the intermediate A, doing a slow cut, and you're wondering if you should take off for the next heavy deadlift. So I think what I would have you do, you have two choices, right? You could just go to 410 and see how it goes, and you might get it. But I think what I would do is your next deadlift session, if you were one of my online clients and I saw you pull like that and really like grind out a set of heavy deadlifts, just to make sure that we let off some of that excess fatigue, because you might get 410 and then you might get 415, but then you're probably gonna like hit a wall. And just to, get ahead of that, and so we don't hit a wall, I think what I would have you do at your next deadlift workout is just do a light deadlift set. So I would say pull 85% for one set of 5. So just give yourself a light deadlift day of, was that like 365 or something like that? Just one set of 5 at 85% of 405. And then the next week, go to 410. And I bet you that will have given you ample time to recover, and you'll just like smoke 410. That being said, you are on a cut, so that, throws a wrench into the whole thing in terms of recovery and all that stuff, because you're in a calorie deficit. So we don't know, but I think I would get ahead of it and just do a light deadlift pull at your next workout, and then go back to, look, you kind of messed up because you went up 20 pounds and you got it. So now you can't go back down. You got to go to 410 next, because we know you can do 405. So try that and let me know how it goes. So I guess that would be, in 2 weeks if you're doing a 2-day thing. But I think that'll give you a little bit extra recovery, especially since you had a pretty tough one there. Okay. Hope that helps, and keep me posted. And we'll see you again soon. All right, last guy, my man Dick. Here we go. Coming up on an hour. So, okay, Dick's back. So, what I'm trying this week is as follows. Bracing better before I unrack, losing the tick. Yeah, you had that little like flick thing of brace and go with the head flicking up, then down, thinking heels on the descent and toes on the ascent, trying to stay leaned over, keeping the knees out, all in an effort to avoid the hip scoop. I think this is my third set of 142.5 on light day. I think I'm only just hitting depth and possibly lifting my torso a bit early out of the bottom. Honestly, I feel this, at this stage, it feels like it's getting worse, although I do feel confident with the weight. I'm feeling comfortable hitting the reps. Okay, well, Dick, here we go again. Let's do it, man. All right. Back in Dick's dungeon with the cool socks. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you just need like different socks. All right, here we go. Let me kill the volume. All right. Okay. Much better on the descent. You definitely got rid of that little tick. Okay. Yeah, all right, let's see here. We still have this really just kind of smooth transition from, it's like going down and then going up, going down and then going up. There's no like pop in your squat. Okay, that one you got out of your hips way too soon. Just lifted your chest right away. And you're still taking too long. Yeah, okay. Don't hate me here, man. I'm trying. All right, let me see if I can illustrate some things. So look at the angle and I don't know if I did this with you last time, but look at the angle that you want to be in on the ascent. So when you come out of the bottom and you're going to start driving up, right? Look at your back angle here. Okay. Let's see if where's my drawing tool? So we're kind of like here, right? Like that. But your back angle is there. And then compare that to the back angle that you had getting into that point, right? So you're coming up and here you are at the bottom. Like almost you're approaching the bottom here. And look at how much more vertical you are here, right? You're gonna come up and you're gonna go down to here. You're gonna start driving your hips up and you're gonna go from this back angle to like this. So this more leaned over back angle, right, that you took coming up out of the bottom, that's the right back angle, because that's the one that you are using. Like you're sort of forced to assume that back angle to keep the weight over the middle of your foot and drive it up. And so this goes back to just not getting leaned over enough right away. You need to have this, where are you coming up again? Why is it doing that? You need to have this more leaned over back angle as you go into the hole, not as you come out of it. I mean, you're going to have it as you come out of it, but in other words, you haven't finished leaning over, okay? And this is all tying into that scooping thing, right? Because if you have to finish, and again, if I said this all last week, I'm just going to repeat myself because I can't really remember, but if you don't get into the correct back angle for the ascent by the time you reach the bottom of the squat, then you have to finish it. So, and you're going to finish it as you're coming up, right? So if I go down into the bottom like this is my back angle as I get into the bottom, but I know that to get out of it and carry it to the top, I have to be like this. Then I'm going to come down, and as I start driving up, I'm going to finally assume that position. And that's part of the whole, like, as you're trying to keep your knees out real hard and drive your butt up, you still haven't leaned over enough. You haven't finished leaning over. And so that has to happen all at the same time, okay? Versus you go into the bottom with the correct back angle. So by the time you're halfway down, you have the back angle that you're going to come up with, right? So now we're taking this down, and everything, this doesn't have to change anymore because you're already leaned over. All it has to do is go lower, right? The whole thing has to go to the bottom. And then as you come up, we're just going to see the little pop, and then it's the same angle on the way up. So as you approach the bottom with the back angle set early, the knees are out of the way. All you have to do is just kind of get that little, just sink into the bottom and then pop it up. But all of your problems really are essentially from not leaning over enough right away. Okay. So that's your main thing that you need to be working on here is getting, and this was the same problem we had with one of the guys at I think the first form check is just it's like the first thing you do when you start the squat is you get your knees out as hard as you can, and you get as leaned over as you're ever going to be by the time you're halfway down, not by the time you're halfway up, by the time you're halfway down. Okay. So I'll see if I can pause it at the halfway point here, and we'll see if we can catch it. So let's call that halfway. I mean, that might even be a little bit more than halfway. But this isn't finished, right? So you need to be chest down more at this point, okay? Because watch, it's gonna, I mean, well, that one you lifted your chest out of the bottom, but yeah. Let me check the weight on your foot here. See, and all of this is tying into the problem of not hitting depth, because when you hit the bottom and you haven't fully finished leaning over, what you're feeling is, in terms of like going deeper or going deep enough, you're actually feeling the bar lower because you're finishing the lean, right? So this the sense that you have of depth is it's an illusion because your butt isn't going deeper. You're just dropping, you're finishing setting the back angle and the bar's going lower. So it feels like you're getting deep enough or deeper, but it's really just the bar moving down, not your butt. Okay. And what we need to feel to establish depth is you need to feel this dropping down to the bottom here. Okay. Not this dropping down here. Okay. So see if I can play it again. Yeah. Okay. So here's what I want from you next time. I don't need to see any more of these yet. What I want you to do next time is I want a video of you doing pause squats, and you just give me a set of 5, and they can be, I mean, what are you doing here? How much weight do you have on the bar? So 142. Okay. So in your heavy days, 167. All right. So give me a set of pause squats with a perfect 3-second pause at the bottom with, I don't know, like a lightweight, maybe 95 pounds, maybe 135 if you can do it and it's not, too crazy. 95 or 130, and you need to have a little bit of weight on the bar. So I want to see a set of 5 paused at the bottom. Okay, like you go down, and again, I'll mention this again. I finally put these up on my website, hornstrength.com/videos. The legs, I've got pause squats and bounce pause squats. I want you to do both of these. I want to set with lightweight, maybe 95, maybe 135, whatever you got. And I want to see 5 perfect pause squats, and I want to see 5 of the bounce pause squats. Okay, so, and you don't have to wait till the Form Check Friday next time. You can just post a thread just make a post and throw that up and let me look at them, because that's like, I want to see you doing that and see if those are even correct, because those are the 2 things that I think will help you dial this in more than anything else, is learning. You just have to learn to feel what the bottom position is. And like, once you can get that in your head, then we can build on that. Okay. So I know this is frustrating. I know we've been working on this and it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But I think it all just stems from a not understanding exactly what the bottom position is supposed to feel like. And once we can burn that into your brain, you'll be able to just naturally assume that position a lot faster. Okay, so let's back up a little bit and send me those videos, and we'll go from there. Okay, because if we can't get those perfect with lightweight paused, then this is, we're not gonna be able to get it at heavyweight while you're, moving around and all that stuff. So let's back up a little bit. We'll start there and we'll just keep going. Okay. But I'm here with you. We're going to get this, and you'll be better for it in the long run. So, all right. Thank you guys for posting and for participating as always. I think we got through everybody, and we will be back next week with another episode of Form Check Friday. Keep an eye out on Reddit for the ebook. I'm hoping to have it out sometime next week, probably towards the end. But you know how those things go with links and uploads and formatting and stuff. So I'll do my best and I'll let you know about it, and we'll keep going. I will see you guys in a week. Thank you.